Hi folks, Cynthia Dearin, great to be with you here this morning. So at the International Business Accelerator this week, I taught a workshop with my colleague Peter Evans on choosing the right international market for your business. This is a big topic and a really important one because if you get your choice of market wrong, it can have pretty serious implications for the success of your international venture. It could also have a really negative impact on your domestic business if things go badly. We covered a lot of material in the workshop and I thought I'd share 5 of the most important points with you here today. So here we go. Number 1, research is vital and there are several kinds you can use. In pretty much all contexts, an informed choice is a good choice, right? And choosing an international market to go to is no exception. So do your research. You can do that using primary research or secondary research. So if you're doing primary research, you'll be collecting data directly from the marketplace in that foreign country. You'll be using interviews, surveys, and talking to potential buyers and representatives. Now, one of the benefits of primary research is that it's tailored to what you need and to what your company needs, and it provides answers to your specific questions. The downside is that collecting the information is time-consuming and it can be pretty expensive too. You could also choose to use secondary research, and if you do that, you're going to be using existing data sources like trade statistics from a country or market reports from various providers like the Economist Intelligence Unit or the Oxford Business Group, for example. If you work with secondary sources, it's going to be a lot less expensive, at least at the outset, but that data has its limitations because it might be out of date or too general. Nonetheless, using secondary data is a great starting place. It's a really easy first step for you to take to find out what different international countries are like, and depending on what channel to market you use, it might be the only one you need. My second point is that there is more than one way to choose a market. The process of choosing a new country to expand your business into can be done in a few ways, including randomly, although that's a way I really suggest you don't use. In the workshop, we looked at 2 methods, the 3-step method and the negative list method. To summarize, the 3-step method really works on the principle of screen, compare, select. So what you do is you start by surveying a large number of available markets and you choose up to 10 or so to research. Then you develop a list of criteria and you assess each market against those same criteria. Based on the results of that assessment, you then choose just 2 or 3 markets to research in depth and you end up by selecting 1. Now, the negative list method basically takes the 3-step model and it tips it on its head. Using that model, the focus is really on ruling out markets from the outset. So having chosen a few markets to analyse, you then set to work and you try and rule them out based on a really quick initial assessment that shouldn't take you more than about an hour per company. Once you've found some countries that are going to work for you, you then research 2 or 3 in depth and then you end up again by selecting 1. So my preference here is to use that negative list method for the initial assessment and then follow it up with a version of the 3-step method to get more depth of perspective. My third point is that knowing whether you can make a profit is key. So whichever method you choose to choose a country, knowing whether you can make a profit before you start the process of launching into that new space is really important. Now, Peter gave a great example during the workshop of how he had wanted to sell his company's food products into the UK because he loved the supermarkets there. And he spent time and money traveling there, looking at supermarkets and dreaming about seeing his stuff on the shelves. But when he sat down and crunched the numbers, he realized that there was no way he could do it because he couldn't make a profit because his costs were much too high. And although that was disappointing for Peter at that time, he said that he was also really glad he crunched the numbers before he got too far down the track because it saved him time, money, and a much bigger disappointment later in time. My fourth point is that the size of the market for your product is relevant. So once you've established that you can make a profit in a particular place, it's really important to work out how many people in that country are going to want to buy what you sell. So if nobody's going to buy what you sell, it's really irrelevant whether you can make a profit or not. Sizing the market is a step that you should do after you've looked at whether you can make a profit, because even if you've discovered a huge market for your stuff in a particular country, say in the US or in China, if you can't sell at a profit, then there is really no point in moving forward. Now, lastly, it's not all about the numbers. And I've spent a bit of time talking about the importance of numbers, but there are a variety of other important factors to consider as well. So For example, are there tariff or non-tariff barriers in the place that you want to go to, which are going to make it difficult or even impossible for you to sell there? Do you have concerns about the political situation and any risks that that might pose to your business? Are you worried that your product or your service might be copied in the new market? Is that new country close enough that you can travel there frequently without it disrupting your domestic business and the rest of your life? Are you comfortable with the culture, the language, and the food in the new place? Now, some of these factors might not seem that significant, but they are all part of the process of weighing the pros and cons of different international markets. There are my 5 points for today. I'd love to hear any comments or questions you have. If you do have a comment or question, please ask me in the comment box below. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.